You're listening to the Pivotal Running Podcast, the podcast that demystifies running. We help runners across the entire spectrum of human performance and inspire runners to take powerful steps in the pursuit of excellence. The first question I got, Erik, is having a world records, right? And a world championship medal. You got American record previously, right? And you got over 200 sub 150, 800 meter races. These are all accomplishments, right? Most runners would dream to just have one of those on their resume. Can you talk about what's next in 2022 and maybe beyond?
Yeah, so this year, I've got a couple races coming up the next couple weekends, and U.S. Championships the end of June. And I think honestly, the team's pretty wide open for the U.S. this year, as far as the 800 goes. So that's the number one goal, is to hopefully run a couple of good rounds at the championships and put myself in the final and see what happens. I think that's the biggest thing for me, is that if you put yourself in the final and give yourself a shot, that that's all I can ask for. So I think that's probably the main goal for me. If you take apart like pacing, racing, everything, is just the US champs and just giving myself the best opportunity that I can there. And then after that, hopefully just get in some more races at the end of the year. And then I've been approached to pace some more of the Diamond League 1500s, a couple of 800s when the year goes on. So hopefully help some other guys get themselves some fast times later on too. So
yeah, that's awesome. You're like the running metronome for the world. Seriously, so how do you best describe the professional running world community as a whole?
Honestly, it's one big family. People wouldn't really expect that, because you're like racing these guys week in and week out. And but some of my best friends are these guys that I race or pace every single weekend. You travel together, from country to country, and get to know a lot of these people pretty well, on and off the track. So really, honestly, it is just one big family, and it's it's been awesome to be able to do this for over a decade now.
That's excellent. What are some of the greatest lessons that you've learned in the professional running world?
Patience. I'm a pretty patient person as is, but running is a sport that, not everything is going to go your way all the time, whether that's, whether training's not going well, whether racing's not going well, or, sometimes when you get to these places you're not familiar with, you get to the airport and there's no one there to pick you up, and you got to figure out, hey, what am I going to do? How am I going to get myself to this meet, to this hotel? And yes, I think for me, it's just been, learning patience and realizing that, hey, like everything's going to take care of itself. And that the only thing I need to worry about is putting my best self on the track. So I think that being patient is a big thing. Time management has been a big thing for me. I think that that's really helped my career, even when I just started in college. It's just, getting the other things in my life taken care of and done. And in school, that was, schoolwork and whatnot. And now it's just, just the little things off the track that you need to take care of with your family and whatnot. I think that that's been big. That just takes a little bit off my plate when I step on the track. I don't have to worry about anything else. And honestly, the thing I tell when I have a high schooler approach me, I have a college athlete approach me, it's like, hey, like, what have you done to prolong your career to be successful for this long? And it's really just focusing on the little things that maybe not everyone else is doing. I've said this a million times, but I still I've done the same routine before bed every single night for the last 15 years. And I've never missed more than 2 days in a row of running from any sort of injury. I think that it's really just that. It's like being consistent in my habits day in and day out, making sure like diet, I'm getting my weight training in, I'm not skipping workouts and whatnot. It's just like being consistent, because it's really just building blocks, right? Like the more that you build day after day after day after month, it's all going to propel you in the future. So the more you focus on those little things today and be consistent with them as you go along, everything else just so much easier.
Yeah, I'm fascinated about your strength routine. So you do your strength right after hard workouts, Monday, Wednesday, Friday?
Yeah, generally Monday, Wednesday, Friday are 3 big workouts for the week, and then we'll do strength training after those. So it's just kind of something we've toyed with it a couple of times throughout my career, and I just tend to, recover better and perform better doing them after my harder days as opposed to like doing it on an easy recovery day or something.
So that was foreign in high school, but then as college developed, I mean, you got from using a doll rod into right a wooden stick to doing some Olympic lifts and stuff, or what?
Yeah, I didn't touch a weight in high school at all. So I was had no idea what I was getting myself into when I got to college. Yeah, so I got to college, we were lifting 3 times a week, and just seeing some of the movements that some of these guys were doing, I was like, had no idea what to do. So like the first 6 months I was lifting with strictly a broomstick. And I mean, that just kind of, transitioned year after year. And yeah, now we do, Olympic movements 3 times a week. I honestly think it's like probably one of my strengths compared to a lot of 800-meter runners now is just like what I'm able to do in the weight room. I think that that's definitely helped me a lot.
Yeah, I'd be fascinated to kind of like go back to like, your freshman year of college and see like the load. Can you describe a little bit about the load and some of those Olympic lifts? And then as you transition post-collegiately, like you continue that, but obviously the load changes as you get more experience.
Yeah, so I mean, when I was a freshman in college, I was honestly like, if we were doing like a hang clean, power clean, I was maybe doing, I don't know, 135 pounds. I mean, I was 130 pounds at that point. And I mean, I don't really max out anymore at this age. Like I just kind of know what I need to do and when I need to do it. But I mean, I was, getting clean reps at 225 plus. I mean, I was squatting for me, I was getting up to like 275, 280, which for multiple reps for me was pretty good. So I mean, I've kind of just at a trajectory like that. It was something that I would have never expected that I would have been able to do as like a 125 130 pound distance runner coming out of high school. So it's been pretty fun.
No, it's really cool to see that translate right into powerful steps, and it's relative, right? So when you talk about like mass, whatever a runner weighs in terms of mass, like it's relative power. So that's really
100%.
cool, like really fascinating to share like the insights and the workload and what you're doing in the weight room. So let's talk about your pacing duties, right? So in the professional Diamond League, you're like the guy, right? Pacing these Diamond League races. It's created a lot of world leading performances. And how have you conditioned yourself to acclimatize, while traveling and changing environments so rapidly?
I think honestly, a lot of it is all the racing I've done throughout my career. It's just, I mean, I've raced so many places and done some crazy stuff with travel. And it's just like making sure that when you step on the line that, you're ready. It doesn't matter how travel went. It doesn't matter how you're feeling that day. Like at the end of the day, like you've got a job you got to do. You need to perform. And I've just kind of taken that mentality into these pacing jobs. I mean, at the end of the day, like how a lot of these guys are going to run is dependent on you. So it's kind of cool, to have that reputation that like, hey, like these guys want you to be there to help them run some fast times. And for me, I think it's just been that experience of just, day in, day out in these races, putting myself in the mix every single time and just, being reliable. I think that that's a value that a lot of people have is just, they want someone who's going to be reliable and get the job done. And yeah, I mean, for me, it's a job, right? So it's just getting yourself to the line and making sure you take care of business. That's kind of the mentality I've had throughout my entire career.
Yeah, that's really special. I mean, it's a great responsibility, and it's like your duty to perform, right? I mean, so many people are relying on you. And hey, let's go back to February when you were pacing Olympic champ Jakob Ingebrigtsen to a world record in the 1500 meters. Like, can you talk about leading that thing through the 1K and then him being able to rip it from there? Like,
yeah, it was awesome. I mean, he's an incredible athlete. And for someone like that to want you to be the guy to lead them in that race was pretty special for me. So it was a thing. It was like, hey, let's run 28-second 200s even throughout the whole first K, which for me, I mean, that's a pretty good workout is, running straight 28s for 1,000 meters. And he kind of told me before the race that, he was feeling good and that, all he needed from me was 1,000 meters and that he'd take care of the rest of it. So I knew, if I just got him to a K where he needed to be that he'd be good. So.
Yeah, that's a fascinating, like insight to that, because like like you were scheduled to like go 221 and you went 220.90. Like, I mean, talk about building trust. I mean, yeah, that's it. I mean, that's exactly how you build trust. I mean, so how is that relationship now? And with like Stewie and Tim, I mean, just talk about how you value those relationships and they're reciprocated.
Oh, I mean, Coach Woody has been great. I've got everything I need here. Wait staff, I can use the weight room whenever I want. Athletic training, they've been awesome. If ever I need anything from them, I don't hesitate to ask. I think that for me, it's just kind of the being comfortable. If you're not comfortable, you're probably not going to run well. So it's just it was a constant improvement. I think for my freshman year of high school, I think after that I PR'd in the 800 for like 10 years straight. I think it was just like looking at that, it was like, we probably don't need to really change anything. Obviously, like there's some little things we can tweak, but if things are, going in that trajectory, and we feel good about everything, I like where I'm at, that it never really made sense for me to leave. So it's been awesome. Iowa City is home to me, so I'm super fortunate for the entire community. Yeah.
How does that develop into a successful mindset for actually race performance?
I think, if you're not comfortable when you step on the starting line, that, you're probably not going to have a good race. So for me, it's just been, showing up day after day and having that consistency, not just in training, but just, the atmosphere and the environment of training every single day. I go to the track at the same time every day and I know who's going to be there. I know what needs to be done. I think that just having that familiarity and just being able to be consistent in that has just made racing feel so much easier. I had another coach, Coach Wazorek here, would always just say that, race day is really just one rep max at 95% effort. So, it's just another workout. So I think that, just the more that you're consistent in practice, it just translated for me to just be easier in the races.
That's incredibly insightful about your training, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, when you're doing your hard workouts. So would you care to, I mean, that's exactly what you're doing. You're preparing. You've already done the workouts before, so it's nothing new on race day. Is that how I understand?
100%. Yeah. I mean, we probably not super common for 800 guys, but I mean, starting in practice in October every year, like we do a hard speed day every Monday. Every Wednesday is kind of either a longer workout on the track or a fartlek type run, and then Friday is some faster stuff on the track. And so we just pile those workouts on top of each other. I think that for me, it's definitely helped even just in the racing the rounds, right? Because to make a team, you've got to run 3 really solid 800s in 4 days. So I think that, having those workouts stacked on top of each other, it's just made like the stimulus of racing feel that much easier with how consistent we are with that during the week.
It's incredibly insightful. Can you talk about the type of climate and culture that Iowa created in order to win the Big Ten championships back in 2011?
Man, that's still probably one of my favorite memories of running that I've had. So when I came in as a freshman, we were last in the Big Ten indoors my freshman year. I mean, it was just kind of a thing. We knew like we had a lot of really solid athletes, but we needed to come together, and some people probably needed to sacrifice some things off the track in order to help the team achieve their goals. I think we became a really, really tight-knit group of guys. I mean, we would have the shot putters and the throwers. They would stay around after practice and watch us finish our workout and cheer us on to do that. And you don't see that a lot, right?
Right.
So I think that that was awesome. We were just such a tight-knit group that everyone wanted to do their job, just to see everyone else succeed and get that championship. I think it was the first championship that the team had won in over 50 years. So we scored over 100 points on the track the last day, which is funny. The athletic director was in the crowd, and he actually left because he didn't think we had a chance. So they had to call him to come back for the trophy presentation when we ended up winning, which was pretty cool. And we did it at home, which was even more special on top of that. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
So I mean, any team that's right down going into the final day of competition that's really a great story and a testament to you gotta compete up until the very end. So like the 100 points, did it come down to the 4x4?
Came down to the 4x4, yeah.
Oh,
And
that's amazing.
and we were, we were one of the top teams in the 4x4 every year. I think we made NCAA indoors and outdoors like 3 or 4 times when I was there. But you still have to get the stick around. You still need 4 guys to perform well. So yeah, it came down to the 4x4, and we ended up being runner up. But it was enough points to pull away from everyone else and secure the title, which was pretty cool to be a part of that.
That's really cool. Thanks for sharing that with us. Like, that's awesome. So after 14 years of having Coach Woody, right, alongside of you, right, as your leader, mentor, coach,
Yeah.
Can you describe his ability to build trust with his athletes and with you?
Yeah. Honestly, like, I had no idea what I was getting myself into when I came to Iowa. It's kind of a funny story. So I had turned in all of my paperwork and everything to go to Wisconsin, everything. And we went on a family vacation at the end of July. School was starting in August, and I just kind of had a change of heart. So like 3 weeks before the school year started, I changed everything up and ended up going to Iowa. And man, it's the best decision that I could have made. Coach Woody's been great. I mean, he truly cares about all of his athletes on and off the track. I mean, he's the first one to practice, and he's always the last one to leave. And I think that what he's done with the program now is just a testament to the type of person that he is. I mean, before they had a couple of guys get banged up, so they were second this outdoor championship. But before this, they had won the last 2 outdoors and the last 2 indoor Big Ten championships. So he's just really, really transformed that program. And it's just really just the type of guy he is. I mean, he can, communicate with everyone. He's, man, I don't even have the words to describe what he means to me. Not just as a coach, but that is one of my best friends. So I'm super thankful for everything he's done, and I definitely would not be in this position without him.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing your thoughts and your feelings, because like, I know there's a lot of other people that feel the same way. So yeah, that's wonderful to share that type of relationship. So what advice would you give to a high school runner today on how to best decide on the long-term development of their running?
I think probably that the path for everyone's not going to be the same, right? I mean, not everyone's going to go Division I, and that's totally fine. I think that, you see a lot of successful athletes in the US that have taken so many different routes to getting there. And it's just kind of, trying to figure out what you want running to mean to you. Whether that's, you want to shoot for a professional career after that, whether it's, you like to run and you just want to have the opportunity to race. I think that's just finding what path makes the most sense for that person. I mean, even on Iowa's squad right now, I mean, they've got, a guy who just won the Big Ten championship in the 400 hurdles that, came from a JUCO and hadn't hurdled for 3 years until now. And just realizing that, like, hey, like, the path for everyone's going to be different. And as long as you give it everything you can, like, buy into the coaching and just trust in that, the path will end up working out. So I think that that's probably the biggest thing I can think of.
So what makes the relays so special in track and field, right? I mean, it's something unlike anything else.
I think it's that team aspect, right? Even for me now, like, when we used to have those world relay championships and those 4x8s, like, those were so much more exciting than pretty much any experience I've had as a pro. I think that, people love to root for teams, right? Like, they want to see, like, a group of people do well, and being able to share those experiences with other athletes, I think just makes the relays awesome. And I wish that even as a pro now, I wish that there were a lot more opportunities to do that, because I think that could really help, just the fandom of the sport, right? It's just giving people groups of people to root for is what people like to do, right? So I think that could pay dividends for the sport, is one thing I truly think.
Yeah. Could you imagine, like, the state of Iowa putting a 4x8 or a 4x4 and going up against Oregon? Or, I know they had a city league kind of with track a couple years ago with the Vin Lana, like, he put that thing together, which was really cool to see. But yeah, it'd be kind of neat to, like, actually see some more relays get off the ground.
I agree.
So what are some ideas that could bridge the gap between mainstream sports and track and field, in your thoughts?
That's a tough one. I mean, I've talked to a lot of people about this. I've talked to Vin about this. He had that the Tracktown series that I was a part of that, and that seemed like it was going to be a pretty good idea, and fizzled out. I don't know that have the exact answer. Man, I just think letting athletes be able to own their own brand a little bit more, I think could just attract a lot more sponsorship as far as like corporate entities goes. I think that's the biggest thing is you get a lot of these athletes that sign a shoe contract, and that's the only space on their jersey that they're able to use is that logo on their left chest, whereas you see NASCAR's is big with corporate sponsorships. I mean, even now, Formula One is taking off, and just seeing all of those logos and whatnot that these drivers are able to put on their cars, put on their clothing, I think that that could just attract so much more of an audience, because these big companies, they've got money to use, and they want to put it somewhere, and if they could put it on an athlete that's going to be successful, like it could pay off for them. But I don't think that there's that type of opportunity in track and field with how strict the current rules are as far as sponsorship and logos and whatnot goes. I think that that's probably the biggest thing to just attract new money and new people into the sport.
Yeah, I have a question about the emergence of name, image, and likeness. I mean, do you think that's a positive thing for even just track athletes or running in general?
I think so, yeah. When you're a track athlete at a major university, to who cares what level it is, but you're putting in a ton of time on the track and in the classroom to be successful. I think that that people are able to benefit off of their success like that. I think that can only do good things for the sport, in my opinion, honestly. So I definitely think it's a positive. Obviously, you run into some issues with recruiting and whatnot, but I think that the pros probably outweigh the cons, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thanks for sharing that. Do you think the relays itself could be like a model to like help America or Americans get into watching track and field?
You would think so, right? I mean, look at some of the highest attended, the best TV ratings of American track and field meets during the year. I mean, you look at Penn relays, you look at Drake relays. Oregon relays has been pretty solid too. I think that those are super great models, and people love to watch relays, watch teams compete against each other in every event during the day. So yeah, no, I definitely think so. I think that the relays could probably be a foundation as far as something like that goes, and I'm just kind of surprised that they're not more popular.
If you were to run a relay, what's the longest relay that you would be willing to run personally?
You might be able to get a mile leg out of me in something, but that would probably be about it.
Would it be over obstacles? I mean, over hurdles?
Yeah.
Like, we put those on there, a mile over?
Let's do it.
Okay. All right. I'm going to have to hold you to that. Like, 4 by mile. So yeah, there was a bunch of 4 by mile world record attempts this track season, right? So
yeah,
that's cool. So what's your favorite event at Drake Relays to watch?
The sprint medley.
Oh, nice.
And just having been a part of a couple of those, it's a kind of a weird event, 200, 200, 400, 800, but I think that you kind of get all of the aspects of track and field. Like, you've got the sprints, but you need to have a successful handoff from the 200 to 200. Then at the end of the day, like, it doesn't slow down really like a DMR sometimes, where everyone groups up, right? And you get to the 800 leg and everyone's going all out. And I think that that's probably my favorite. I mean, it's a 3 minute and some odd second race, but there's a lot of excitement in it. So that's probably my favorite one.
So I got full disclosure here, right? So I saw you win, right, with your team, 2011 Drake Relays, right? Carried around the flag. I was there. But I really got to say that, like, the women really set the bar high for you guys, right?
Yep. Yeah, that was pretty special to be able to do that back to back with them. That was pretty cool. I mean, those are two of the fastest times that had ever been run there. Drake and the sprint med at that point. So that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that was actually my first Drake Relays back since 2001 when I graduated. So it was really cool for me to like see this. Wait a second, like, I was the best team out here. What the? This has totally changed in the last 10 years. Like, but it was really fun to watch. right? As a spectator, as a fan of track and field, do you think Americans would actually benefit from more physical racing like you see in European races?
I think so. And I mean, I think honestly, just the more races that people get in different kind of environments can only be beneficial. I mean, sometimes you get in these European races and there's, 12, 14 guys on the line in an 800, and the first 200 meters is super physical. And I think that that's really benefited me, and just realizing like, hey, like I need to, regardless of who's in the race, how many guys are in the race, like I need to put myself in a good position to be successful. And, whether that's, throwing some elbows or whatnot, you just kind of need to take care of business. I think that that's really helped me be successful in racing in general. It's just having done that, so many different environments, so many different races. So I think that people could definitely benefit from that.
Yeah, recently in the last couple of years, you've seen a lot of Americans complain or make gestures during the race. I'll even bring up Paul Chalimo, right? His antics and trying to get, I mean, as he gets maybe jostled or bumped around, it's kind of like it's naturally going to happen in that type of environment, and actually is more common in like European races.
Right. So it's hard if you haven't experienced that. It's not something you're familiar with. So I think that, the more that happens to someone, the more you're able to learn from it and kind of figure out like, hey, what do I need to do in those situations?
Yeah, I'd love to know your professional opinion about drifting and some of the antics that has gone on in some of these championship races. Like in the distance races are like notorious, like the 10K out in Eugene, like there was drifting, and then somebody, right, he stumbled. He didn't make it to the finish line because he was trying these antics out. What are your thoughts on that?
It's tough, man, right? I mean, everyone's trying to be the first one to get to the line. But I haven't experienced a ton of drifting in the 800. So I think that if it was me that would have happened to in a race, I probably wouldn't be super thrilled about it. But yeah, I think that, man, I don't know what the right answer is there, but I think, I think that it's fairly common, but at the end of the day, I think a lot of times, the guy who does the drifting doesn't end up being one of those first few guys to line. It's how do I get from point A to point B the fastest? And drifting sometimes isn't the answer.
Yeah, the shortest distance between 2 points, right? It's a straight line. So yeah, no, I appreciate you at least answering that one fairly.
For sure.
Well, actually, so what do you think makes someone super competitive but able to have fun with the workouts and the races?
I think a lot of it's just realizing that, the work that you do in the workouts is what's going to benefit you for the races, right? And if you're super competitive, you want to do well in the races. Like that's probably your ultimate goal, right? Is to get into the race and do well and win some races. So, if you're able to, have fun and get the work done during practice, that you get to the race just that much more confident that you're gonna be able to get the job done. So I think that's probably the biggest thing. It's just, that consistency in training and having fun with training just makes the racing that much easier. You can see a lot of people that, get to a race and they're, super stressed out and it's kind of unfamiliar to them. Whereas, for me, like I know that the work's been done in practice. When I step to the line, it's super familiar and I'm confident.
Hey, on that, leading into confidence, getting to the line, can you talk us through maybe like your prep and getting to the line? Like, okay, so you're probably there 2 hours before, but I mean, give some details like are you listening to music? Not? Or
yeah, so I'll listen to a little bit of music. Sometimes some of these European races where you're indoors, especially these warm-up areas, are so small that you kind of don't put music in to make sure you don't get run over by somebody. So I mean it just kind of depends on where you're at. But for me, generally, I get to the track usually like an hour before I warm up. I'll warm up probably 70 minutes before my race. Now it's kind of gotten a little bit longer the older I get. I need a few more minutes to warm up and get prepared now. But yeah, so I do that, and I've done I've got the same routine for warm up that I've done year after year after year. So that's generally it for me. I don't have any superstitions or anything. Just go in and keep my same routine that I do day after day.
Yeah, you'll have to maybe like make a video now that as you will share some of your secrets, like on how you actually get up. What are the actual drills that you do? And obviously with consistency, they've been paying off. Yeah, what's on your playlist, if I can ask?
I'm a big country guy.
Okay. Yeah, like
So I just have a strictly country music playlist that I've added. You know, I add songs to,
songs
you know,
like they which
throughout the
artists? Come on,
years.
songs. Which come on, share. Come on.
I right now,
Garth Brooks? No, no, come on.
I do like Garth Brooks, but
Okay.
I've been a big fan of Colby Cooper right now. Colby Cooper, Luke Combs are probably a couple of the guys that I've listened to a lot over the last couple of years. But you know, I just like country music in general, so I'm not too picky.
Oh, that's great. No, we'll have to swap playlists or something, you know. I like a fair
Yeah,
share
for
of
sure.
country music as well. So what are your thoughts on the fast U20 times that are just popping off? Like women are just loaded and the guys are loaded too. But hey, talk to me about that a bit. What are your thoughts?
It's awesome, right? I mean, I just think it shows the depth of the sport. I think that it's going to be really exciting to see how a lot of these athletes perform, not just this year, but you know, coming in the next couple of years with the Olympics here in a couple of years. I think it's awesome. You know, you see these people running super fast and getting their names out there. It just brings more attention to the sport in general, right? I think that, you know, the more attention on the sport, it can just be better for everyone. But yeah, it's crazy. Some of the times these kids are running now, under 20. I was like, man, I was a 154 guy in high school, and that wouldn't sniff you anything right now, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, I mean, across the world, right? Everybody is running fast times, a couple fast times, even just the last couple days, right? A couple of
Yeah,
U20s,
because
144, and
144 won. Yeah, that was awesome.
yeah, I mean that's impressive. And like a couple American high schoolers, right? You know, running really fast for the 800, but obviously running really fast for the miles too. So
Yeah.
yeah, pretty interesting to watch. What would be your counter to maybe some uh, Europeans saying that American distance running is sort of soft, both in the 8 and the mile? What are your thoughts? Is it fair? Is it fair criticism?
I don't know. I mean, I think if you look at some of these fast races, especially even in the 800 that have happened over the last decade, I mean, look at like Dwayne Solomon, Boris Berrien, like those were the two guys that were at the front of the races. So to say that American 800-meter running is soft, like maybe it's in a different phase just in the type of athletes that we have right now. But I think that, you know, as far as if you look back over the last decade, that had a couple of the best front runners that, you know, we've seen in the last 10, 20 years as far as the 800 goes. I think the 1500 is just different, right? I mean, you get here in the States, and a lot of these meets are, you know, they're rabbited, and you know, guys are just shooting for fast times, and it's not really just a race, right? So I think that it's kind of hard to say. Whereas sometimes you get in these European races, and you know, it's 16, 18 guys, and no one goes with the pacer, and guys are rubbing elbows and racing. But to call, you know, the Americans soft because of how the races play out, I don't know that I necessarily agree with that. So
Okay, we'll put Josh Kerr on speed dial then and let him know. Yeah, that he's wrong. No, just kidding.
no, Josh is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was with Brooks for a little bit, so I'm good friends with Josh, and yeah, I think that he the way he runs, though, I mean, he puts it all out there, and he's going to be at the front of any race that he's in, and I definitely admire that about him. So
Yeah. So if you guys were to race, like you guys raced in practice and stuff, and so 1K, who wins? You, Josh, right now?
right
1K.
now,
Yeah. Split the difference, I thought. 1K.
I don't know. That's why I'm trying to think. That's tough.
Yeah. That's a good matchup, right?
Yeah,
I'd pay per
I
view
think
to
it'd be,
watch that. Like,
you know, I'll give myself the nod there, but I think it'd be close.
yeah, that's why I asked. Like 1K, I was like, oh man, like that'd be I'd pay money. So if you two work that out, at least you get, you know, name your price. I'll log in, right? Pay per view. I'll get some of my friends, and then yeah, it could be like a workout for you guys, but I'd still pay.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, it'd be fun to watch. So what track event is harder, the 400-meter hurdles or the 800 meters?
So I have not participated in the 400-meter hurdles. So
But your coach has.
my coach has. So
See,
he says the 800 is harder. The race of the 800 is harder. But I have seen some of the workouts he puts these 400-meter hurdlers through, and I don't know. It's hard for me to say. You know, I think they're both tough events. But a lot of it, probably comes down to the type of athlete, right? And what they're best at. So maybe if you get obviously someone with a little more distance minded, maybe the 800 would be easier for them than the hurdles. But yeah, I see some of the work he puts those hurdlers through, and I do not envy them some days when I go to the track. I'll tell you that.
That's awesome. I mean, just share that, like the workouts that you probably witnessed other people go through, not only yourself, right? But yeah, it's probably painful to watch.
Yeah, I mean, especially now. I mean, he's got some awesome college 400-meter hurdlers. I mean, he's got some post collegiates that are running super fast in the 110s and 400 hurdles. So it's kind of cool to just be able to see everything he's able to do as a coach, just across events, and how he's got so many successful athletes like that. So it's pretty cool to go to practice every day and just be in that environment.
Yeah, it'd be really cool to see, like, with the 2022 season as it unfolds, with nationals and obviously the world champs being in the United States. Yeah, it looks like Iowa has a great opportunity to be represented on the world stage. Yeah. So really cool. So, hey, like, I gotta ask, like, do you realize like how much of a lure you are, like, in the last like 2 years because of the pandemic and like all the things that all the races that you're leading, right? And pacing and you're in and you're making 15 finals, right? 16 this year. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I know you, yeah, that's.
See, I'm just a guy that likes to run, and I'm competitive, and
yeah,
like, for me, just like having been able to experience all of this has just been awesome. If you would have told me, I was a 5'2", 90-pound guy as a freshman in high school, who, when he was a sophomore, the soccer coach told me he was too small to play varsity soccer. And that's how I got into running. I mean, if you would have told me that, we'd be, 15, 16 years down the road, and I've been able to do this as a career for 10 years, that I would have never believed. I've met, so many of my best friends through running. I've gotten to meet so many awesome people and travel to so many places that, yeah, I'm just super thankful that I've had all these opportunities.
So I got another question then for you. Do you think the best American distance runner is on a soccer field somewhere?
Possible. Yeah. I think you've seen a lot of athletes that transition from soccer. I mean, just a couple people that I've been close with. I mean, Kaz Loxam was a soccer player.
Mm-hmm.
Molly Beckwith at Indiana, now Molly Ludlow. I mean, she came off the soccer field as one of the best 800-meter runners in the world there for a while. So I think that they translate well with each other, right? I mean, the type of athlete that's generally going to be pretty successful in soccer, especially probably, in that like midfield forward area, I think is going to be probably a pretty good track athlete too. So it's possible.
Do you think in the future you could, like, Sowinski's racing, like, and be talent scout, looking on the soccer fields, like, for the next great American distance runner? I mean, is that
maybe that'd be pretty cool, wouldn't it? Yeah.
I mean, because you kind of know that sport already, right?
Right.
And like the top, there's a tiering system and Olympic development soccer already. You kind of know, like, if you're not on these certain clubs, right? Like you yourself, like 5'2", like, you may score a lot of goals, but the coach doesn't see you developing into, like, okay, you're not going to play in Europe, right? Or the Premier League. So I'm going to spend my time elsewhere, right? With with coaching.
Right. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I just pitched that as a, because you yourself, right? I mean, kind of a novice, into running. You didn't even run your freshman year, right? Of high school?
Yeah, no, I started running as a sophomore. So
yeah, that's amazing. Like, hey, were you in marching band? I have to ask that question.
I was. Yeah.
Okay.
So I was a freshman, sophomore, junior year. I was in marching band.
What instrument do you play?
Trombone.
Nice. Do you think that music has anything to do with your timing ability, like your metronome, your ability? I mean, yeah, math, but there's a musical component, like, to, like, cadence, right? Pace.
No, I think so. I mean, when you're in marching band, like, you're trying to take like 1 yard steps, and I think that knowing, generally, like, how many strides I'm taking per 100 meters. I mean, I'm a good math guy. Like I've always been able to do quick math and just like looking at the clock and knowing my strides. I think that that's definitely helped me. Like when I get in a race, like I can just kind of get in that rhythm, and just honestly like counting off those strides. Like I know generally where I'm going to be at what time. So I think that's probably definitely helped my music background.
That's awesome. We can be, when we make our when we race each other, maybe we can get like a marching band, get your, marching band school, and we combine like running, bring a marching band, because marching bands get the bad rap of just having to play at football games, but you're like, hey, wait a second, we could pay potentially the marching band to be at the track meet, and they can do as a fundraiser, right? Or
there you go.
Yeah, I just think, I'm a big music buff, right? So nice. I think music is like, that's amazing that, right, you got a late bloom in running, but you have all these other skills that you brought into running with you, like music.
I won more state championships in marching band than I did in track and field. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. That's so cool. Yeah, I want to say thank you so much for like
of course
chatting with me today. I really appreciate like the approachability. Like I asked you and you had no problems like coming on the show, and like just Erik, all the things that you've done for our community and like track and field and running in general is just amazing. Like, do you have any like, do you have any like final words that you want to say to like anybody else who's like going chasing fast times here in 2022?
Yeah, I think, just put all your eggs in that basket and chase your goals. Cause, coach has told me as I get older, once you stop running at this level, you never can really pick it back up. So I think that, once you've got those goals right now, just chase them and know that if you do everything in your power, whether you reach them or not, that, you've done everything you can and you're a part of a special community, in running, and that, you've got so many people cheering for you. I think that's just the biggest thing for me, is that running community as a whole just means a lot to me, and I'm glad to be able to be a part of it and give back when I can. So that does mean a lot.
Thanks, Erik.
Yeah.